Okay, this is a video on how to install a amp on a factory system without having any head unit that you've put in here, without having to take out anything out of your dash. If you're like me and you have a new vehicle, this is my new 2010 Honda Accord, and you don't want to rip out your dashboard and mess with the wiring in here because you don't know how to do it, or you're too lazy and you don't want to pay a professional $100 to $200 to do it for you, this is a pretty easy way to install an amp yourself. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to uninstall everything I did to show you how I did it, but I'm just going to show you exactly what I did here. Now, if you've never installed an amp before, you probably want to watch a video of someone actually doing it and then implement what I'm showing you in this video to that, because I'm not actually going to show you doing it. But I will show you pretty much exactly what I did. So the first step here is to install your power wire. Now what you need to do is run this directly from your battery. You'll have a fuse that you need to attach about 2 feet from the battery right here. And then what you do is you take this power wire and you're gonna run your power wire through your firewall, which you should have a little rubber stopper somewhere back here in your firewall, and it might be on the other side. But the important thing is, when you run the power wire, what you're gonna have is you're gonna have wires running from your factory headset to the back of your car, and you need to make sure you run your power wire on the opposite end of the car, or else I guess it's a magnetic field that the wire has with all the electricity going through it can affect the audio signal going to the back of your car. So what I did is that power wire, it comes through the firewall, and I ran it behind this panel. And this right here, you can just pull this up off if you want to. And I ran it underneath this, and what I did is I ran it under the seat. Here it is right here. And then you want to run it back to your trunk back here. And here it is coming out back here. And then obviously it just runs directly into your amp. Now the second step here is to make sure that your amp is grounded. This is going to be the ground wire coming out here. And what you can do is you can ground it right to a bolt, instead of running it back to the battery, so it completes the circuit. And that's going to be your first step, just to get power actually running to your amp. And that's going to be pretty standard really for any amp installation. Now the two things which we're really going to cheat on to make this a lot simpler here, any amp has 4 things running to it: the power, the ground, and then you're going to have a cable running to it, which will normally come from your head unit, which tells your amp when to turn on. And then the third thing is obviously the audio signal. So those are the 2 things that you would really need to run directly from this. So the first shortcut that we're going to take is, instead of running it from the dashboard, what we're going to do is we're going to take audio signal from our rear speakers back here, which I don't know if you can see it very good. And what we're going to do is we're going to run those to what we call a line-out converter box. It can be called a high-low box, line-out converter, whatever. But what it does is it takes these wires running here and it runs them into this box right in the back here. And what it does is it converts them into the RCA cables coming out back here, which actually runs directly into the amp, which would normally need to come from the head unit. So that's the first shortcut that we're going to take right there. Now the second thing we're going to take right there. Now the second thing where it gets a little bit more tricky is the remote turn on signal, which normally when you would turn your radio on, it would tell the amp when to turn on here. And what that means is it only needs a 12-volt charge. So what we're going to do to make this really simple and easy, and this is not the recommended way to do it here, is we're going to take the auxiliary plug-in back here, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to actually splice the wires here coming out of this and take both of these wires here. As you can see, they run down there and then they run right underneath the panel here, under the back seat. And what they do is, here they are coming back through here again, is what they do is they run directly into your converter box right here, and then your converter box will take this wire, the power on wire, that runs directly to your amp right here, and then that will turn your amp on whenever you actually turn on your car and when power goes through the cigarette lighter. Now for your line out converter box, now this is obviously the power running to that we ran from the cigarette lighter. Now it actually needs to be grounded. Now what you can do, as you can see, I grounded mine directly back to the cigarette lighter. Now if you want to, you could probably ground it out on a bolt like we did for the ground wire here for the amp. Now I had some problems getting that to work, so that's why I ran it directly back. But if you wanted to, you could probably just connect it to a bolt and that should work out fine as well. But it's very important that both of these are grounded, so your amp needs to be grounded and then your line out converter needs to be grounded as well. It goes through the cigarette lighter. So the good thing is it's all fuse protected, so you don't need to worry about blowing anything or frying your car. Now if you're not like me and you don't have this cool little auxiliary rear accessory back here, what you can do is, if you want to plug it in right up here in your front, you can get one that has the second accessory coming out of it, and that way you can still use this accessory here for, you know, charging your phone or whatever you want, and then still run these wires to the back of your car. And that's basically a very simple and easy way. Now you have your power running to it, your audio signal, and a remote turn on wire. I didn't really have to rip anything out of my dash here. Now the only thing left to do is just connect the power running from the amp to the subs, or not the power but really the audio signal, and let's see how they sound. Now as far as a couple safety precautions go, a couple things you want to be aware of. Number one, your AC adapter will be fuse protected, so you don't have to worry about running too much current through that and damaging anything. It will simply blow the fuse before that happens. Now the one thing that you do want to be cautious of is drawing signal from the rear speaker wires. That should really typically be fine as long as you're only splicing those wires once to run signal down to your converter box. You should never be drawing too much power from doing that. But if you've done any additional aftermarket modifications, for example, putting in aftermarket speakers that have a lower ohm ratio, which the lower the ohms, the more power it actually draws, that's in reverse. Or if you've connected additional speakers to that circuit, or if you've done anything else like changing out wires, virtually anything that can put an additional load on that wire, then you want to be a little bit more cautious with putting a further load on it by connecting it down to your converter box. But if you are concerned about that, it is always best to have it professionally done, or simply open up the dash and make sure that you're connecting it into the correct wire within the dashboard. And that's always going to be really safe and
professional way of doing it as well. So, thanks a lot, you guys. If you have any questions, make sure you write them right down there in the comment section. And thank you for watching.